All right, so we've seen now that this is how I can distinguish between which button was clicked on. If I'm implementing an action listener for the whole frame, I have one action listener. But actually, the problem is that this is not a good thing since I have many buttons. So the whole thing has like one action. Well, actually, I have 3 different actions, and I'd like to separate those actions. And there are 2 ways to do this. One is using the inner classes. The other one is using anonymous classes. We'll use the inner classes first, and then you'll see that you're going to like those anonymous classes because they're going to take less time to type. Now let's have a look at the inner classes. How can we do this? Now, if we'd like to have inner classes, that means we're going to be creating a class that implements the action listener, one class for each button that has an action. So now, instead of doing this, I'm going to not do this, but then I'm going to have a class that I'm going to call, for example, count up, that's going to implement an action listener. And just because I'm doing this, I just need to implement all abstract methods. So I have only one that is action performed. In that action performed, well, basically I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to put the code that is applicable only to when I count up. So when I count up, what I need to do is this. The rest I don't need. That's what I had before. Now, this is the count up. I know what, I'm going to rename it to make it even clearer. This is the button count up. So I'm just going to make sure that this is going to be an action for the button. And how am I going to link this action to the button count up? You see, this is the button count up. Instead of putting this, now this doesn't work. I'm going to create a new button count up. The name of the class that I just used. Hold on, this thing. Okay, so it will stop disturbing it. So now this class over here, its only purpose is to be used to contain the action of this button. And I'm going to do the same for the rest. So just copy and paste. Another class, this one, bottom down. And then this is going to be minus minus. And the last one is button reset. And this is going to be, well, I don't need to do the whole thing. Just when I reset, just put 0 in it. That's all I need to do. And now, instead of these, it's a new button up, now new button down, button count down, and this one is new button reset.
This is inner classes?
Yeah, these are inner classes because these are all classes inside of this class. And it makes sense because these classes are only not going to be used by others. These are just classes needed only by this class because they support the class to work. And the advantage is that they allow me to have separate actions for separate buttons, which is more organized than having everything in one place. Now, just with 3 buttons, it became a little bit cramped. Imagine if you have more than 3 buttons, it will be much more difficult. So, let's test to see if it still works. Now, if I count up, it goes up. Count down, goes down. Reset, puts back to 0. So it's the same thing, just the way it works now, the organization is different. Now, which one you like? This first one, when everything was in one place? Like this one? Now I don't need this one, I'm going to remove it. Or this one? Yes?
Can I have the classes at the end of the...
Yeah, you can put the classes wherever you want. The class doesn't, they need to be somewhere. but it's up to you where you put them. Yeah, they're still going to work. And this is the. Now let me tell you one thing. Is it really important the name of this class? I have this button reset. I have to choose the names. But I don't really care because we'll give it just a name and I'm going to use it only once. I'm just using it here. I'm not going to use it many times. I'm only using it here. And this is where the anonymous class is going to be much more convenient. And let me show you the anonymous class. How can I have an anonymous class? Well, it's basically the same thing that I'm doing here, except that I'm not going to be creating this bottom up, but I'm going to have a new action listener. But if I do new action listener, inside here, I'm going just to put the code that I need to put here. Because now I'm creating a new class. Notice all this is in the parameters, but this is a new object that I'm creating from a new class that I don't have a name for. So, and this is a new action listener because all these are implementing action listeners. So the code that I'm having in count up, I'm just going to take it from here and put it here. And now this is the action when I'm going to count up. Same thing again. I'm just going to copy this and put it here. When I'm counting down, same thing, but this time with minus minus. And same thing now also when I'm having this action listener. And this is just going to be the tf.setText to be the 0. Now this allows me not to need all these inner classes that have only one method in them, because I have these anonymous classes that do the work that I want them to do. So now let's just try them. Count up still works, count down works as well, and reset does work. And as you can see, it's a little bit cramped in terms of, there's a lot of things together in one place, but it's actually a shortcut. Now you know all these three methods. It's up to you to use the one that you like. But personally, I prefer this one. But each one has its own options. If you prefer the inner class, go ahead, use it. If you prefer to have like the whole class implements everything, you have if else, or whatever, it's your call. It's your call. Whatever you find easier, use it. I'm just showing you the different options that are possible. Yes? I won't specify exactly one way to do that. If I want you to know these type of things, I'm going to show you a code and make sure you understand what this does. But the thing is, I want to show you that there are different ways how to do that. But all of these different ways, they involve implementing an action listener. So this is the interface that allows the action to happen. And I need to implement it, either by making the frame implements it, my class that extends the frame implements it, or having an inner class that is going to implement it, or that having these anonymous classes that are implementing it. So whatever is convenient for you, use them. But I advise you to test each one of them so you can have a better understanding of all of them. Then later on you can choose which one you like. That's it about this exercise.